What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Essential Cycling. In this video, we're going to talk about the Enve 3.4 SES disc wheels. I've had these wheels for about 3 years now. They're great wheels, so call this a 3-year review from an average cyclist. And we're going to talk about some of the things that I've liked, some of the things that I don't like, and my overall conclusion as to who these wheels are for. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so it was summer of 2019. I remember I had just basically came out of the winter and the spring, and it was just warming up. I actually was riding the TD5 Borough bike tour. That was the first year that I did it, 2019. And my front wheel on my felt, which is that bike, so the front wheel on this bike right there, I noticed that it got kind of crunchy. I realized, okay, that bike has loose ball bearing hubs, right? They're not sealed cartridge bearing hubs like some of the good ones are for. I actually prefer sealed cartridge bearing hubs. They're better, just overall much better, much lower maintenance, just easier to live with, right? I had gotten them serviced by the local bike shop and they were pretty good. They spun pretty good. I was thinking about getting another pair of wheels because those wheels are kind of just whatever. They're, $2,000 or $1,500 bike. The wheels just are aluminum. They're heavy. They're just kind of like whatever wheels. But then they were good for a while, but then I did a 40-mile ride, which was a bike tour in the rain, and they started to get crunchy again, not only like 2 or 3 months later. So that's kind of what made me think. So I started to do some research. The local shop showed me a pair of Zips. I don't remember which ones they were, but they had the dimples in them. $2,500, a lot of money for me. Did my own research, found that the MBs weren't that much more money, so I decided to go in the shop, pull the trigger on the MB wheels. A little bit silly because I was riding an entry-level endurance bike and I got a nice pair of racy wheels, but overall it really did accelerate my cycling career, my cycling experience. Once I put these wheels on, and by the way, they're set up tubeless. This was right around the time the Grand Prix 5000 TL. These are in size 28, and the local bike shop, by the way, just threw on a pair of tubeless wheels, or just threw on a pair of tubeless tires in for free with the purchase of these wheels. Once I put these wheels on my felt endurance bike, totally transformed the way that I rode my bike and just the amount of fun. The bike became a rocket ship, and there's pretty much no reason for me to not go with carbon wheels because at the time, rim brakes were still dominating the road cycling, the racing, and all the research I could find was just saying, carbon wheels, are they good or are they bad? They all talked about the brake track. Well, the brake track is down here. There is no brake track on here, so you can ride these things in the wet. It doesn't matter. They don't care. You're never going to scrape away the wheel, the fancy, expensive wheels. So these wheels will last indefinitely unless you actually crash or damage them because they are carbon, and carbon does have its faults. But disc brakes, I said, why not get the best of the best, buy things once, and overall they were absolutely great. I went in saying, well, I'm not going to get any more fit or more fast because the bike's going to allow me to go faster. I'm going to be working a little bit less. What happened was these wheels were so inspiring for me that I covered so many more miles that summer. And that was really when I started to take cycling a lot more seriously. And it was just, I was getting out there. I was doing 40-mile rides, 50-mile rides. The following summer, I did an 80-mile ride on the felt with these wheels. And really these wheels and wearing a cycling kit are two things that got me to get out there on the bike a lot more and have just so much more fun because the bike riding was just so much more fun. I loved riding in the heat, as long as you stay hydrated, that is. So overall, the wheels were just great. They were a bit overkill for me, but it's a made in the USA product, and I don't mind spending a lot of extra money, or I don't mind spending a little extra money on something that I know is going to last me. Enve stands behind their warranties, and it's just overall a great product. Really happy with the purchase. Now, a couple of things that I noticed right off the get-go. Number one, there are no spoke nipples exposed on the outside. So if these wheels come out of true, you'd have to get a internal spoke nipple wrench and go through here. So you think, all right, not a big deal. Just pop your tire off, tighten it here and there, bingo bango, all set. Well, the problem with these wheels is they're a tubeless setup. If I had a really bad wobble in this wheel, which I do have a slight wobble, actually, doubt you can see it. Normally, with my other wheels, I would just be able to take a spoke wrench, tighten it here and there, and then that slight wobble just gets very straight, almost perfect. Now what I've had to do is take the tire off, take the rim tape off, re-true the wheel, right? Or just tighten it here and there. The problem with these wheels is when you ride them tubeless, you have to actually get new rim tape and retape it. It's a whole big production you got to do. And also, Enve's, you can only use their specific Enve rim tape, which just it makes it so much more complicated to actually just true out a little bit of a hop. Probably the main downside of these wheels is those internal spoke nipples. I've read all about them. I know that it's supposed to be stronger and this, that, and the other thing. Sure, great, that's all phenomenal, great, but it's something that's never really left my mind, and I've never really been fully comfortable. Now, I've never had any issues with these coming out of True. I've read the forums. People say 99.999% of the time you won't have that issue, but I have a mind that works kind of like an engineer. I like to keep things as simple as possible. That way, when they break, I can at least fix most of the issues. That's kind of the way I go about life. I look at serviceability, and these are a little bit less serviceable, or a lot less serviceable if something happens. That's just kind of like a very complicated system, which used to be so simple. So that's really the main thing I don't like about that. Other thing I don't like about these either is, that's pretty much it. They've been amazing wheels. They were not cheap. These do have the Industry 9 torch hubs, which have been decent. I don't really notice a difference. I don't have anything to compare them to. Center lock disc brakes have been great. Disc brakes are phenomenal, especially if you want to ride carbon rims. The tubeless setup on these wheels, I got one puncture on the back tire when I first got them. It sealed itself perfectly fine. I've never, knock on wood, I've never had to pull over to the side of the road with tubeless and take the tire off. I've had to pull over to the side of the road and pump the tire up, but I've never had to take the whole wheel off the bike. It's always just sealed itself, and then I'm good to go. So tubeless, absolutely worth it. No issues here. These tires are also really good. The other thing that happened with these wheels is last summer I was taking the tire off just to look in. I wanted to get a look in. With tubeless tires, you want to make sure that there's enough fluid in here. The fluid can dry out after time. And then if you're out and you do get a puncture, it's not going to seal and you're going to have more issues. So every couple of months, I just pop them off. I just take a look in there and make sure there's still tubeless sealant in there. Now, what happened when I did that was I actually had the tire lever turned backwards. And let's see if you guys can see that. There's a little dimple right there. I took it to the local shop. They weren't sure. They said it looks okay. I got a second opinion with Enve, so I'm working with Enve. I'm actually going to send this wheel back to them. That's why this wheel is totally bare. There's no rim tape. I took their disc rotor off. Another thing I noticed too is when you are 200 pounds like I am and you run tubeless tires at a low pressure, I kind of noticed this a little while ago. Where is it? This right here. Giving myself a carbon splinter. I don't know if that's from a tire lever or if that's from bottoming out. I have bottomed out on going up some low curbs on these rims. I didn't think anything of it, but it is something to keep in mind. Definitely won't be running these at below, in the low 60s. I'll keep them above 70, 75, just because that may be some damage. I'm not sure if it is, but it looks like a little lip, a little hook on the rims actually is starting to get a little bit of a damage. Probably not anything to worry about, but again, better be safe than sorry. This one's going back to Enve anyway. They're going to take a look at it. That is just something to keep in mind. And now seeing that, I know there's a lot of buzz and a lot of commotion about going hookless. If I want to run wide tires at below 70 PSI, I'm going hookless all the way because I do not like seeing that. These wheels, basically, I don't want to take them below 80 PSI anymore. Seeing that scares me. I don't need to be going over the bars and ending up in a hospital, especially now. Not worth it for me. I'll take a stronger, heavier rim any day than that. So would I buy these wheels again? Well, 2.5 years ago, back in 2019, you really had only a couple of options. If you didn't spend over $2,000 on a set of carbon rims, you were going to get something a little bit cheaper. It almost wasn't worth it. That's the research that I found. Nowadays, fast forward to 2021, we have wheels like Windspace Hypers, which I'm hearing amazing things about, which are direct to consumer. We also have wheels like Enve came out with their Foundation 45s, which are $1,600 as opposed to almost $3,000 like this setup is with the i9 hubs. And we also have the Zip 3.4 SES wheels, which are $1,300. We have a lot of wheels out there that are exactly half the price or a little more or a little less, around half the price or less than these $3,000 Enve 3.4 SES disc wheels are. For me, I don't race, I don't need the lightest, most aero thing ever. No, I would not buy them again. Now, back then, would I buy them again? Yeah, I mean, I probably would because that's all I knew, and I do think I made the right decision back then. But I'd probably take a long, hard look at some of the zips or some of the other ones just because those internal nipples, just something does not sit right with me that I got to take the tire off just to make a little adjustment. I don't know how to true wheels, but I have built a wheel on a BMX bike before, so I do understand that if the wheel is wobbling to the left, or I'm sorry, if the wheel is wobbling this way, you got to pull it the other way, so you just pull the spoke that's on the left side of the wheel if it's wobbling to the right, and vice versa. So that kind of stuff, I mean, it's pretty simple. Currently, what I'm probably going to end up doing is send these back to Enve. Maybe they replace it, maybe they won't. Regardless, I'm thinking I may either keep these and put wider tires on them and put them on my Domani and just make them like my road tires or road wheels, because they are a good set of wheels. I may end up just selling them and trying to recover some of the cost and then just go with the Zip 3.4 SES wheels. My local shop has them. Or I may just decide to go ahead and get the Windspace wheels just to support more of the smaller direct-to-consumer brands. So overall, guys, that's been my review and just some of my thoughts on the Enve SES 3.4 disc wheel set. I don't even know how you say it. Is it Enve 3.4 SES or Enve SES 3.4? You guys get the picture. Smart Enve system. Disc wheels, 3.4, 34 millimeters in the front, 41 millimeters in the back, or 43. Don't really know, not too sure. But overall, great wheels, really transformed my life. Say yes to carbon wheels, just do your research. Thanks so much for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, see you in the next one. Have a great weekend, have a great day. Bye.